What the, what is this? What's going on? Hello? Am I?
Hey, how you doing?
How are you?
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. um,
I'll be back in a minute, Dwayne.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, great. I was just about to start. All right, welcome everyone. Good. We had that little bit of a pause 'cause YouTube has changed the streaming platform menu a bit, so I had to reorient myself. I think I'm good now. Create video highlight. All right, I don't know what those do. Let's open up with the prayer for spiritual workers, and then we'll go into today's open discussion session. Prayer for spiritual workers. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their limitations, would smite me. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their weakness, would not heed me. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their ignorance, would defile you through me. And I ask, Almighty God, O wondrous power, that your strength may be given to me now, so that I might be fortified by this, so that I might go forward bravely into the world, and despite reception, send forth my love of thee throughout all races of man. Almighty God, give me the power and strength to rise above my karmic weakness, the deficiencies in the pattern of my evolution, so that I might evolve and become stronger, I, and even stronger in thy everlasting light. O God, thy will be done. All right. Welcome, everyone, to another open discussion and various topics. Very quickly, just a couple of announcements. The RSS, the Review and Study series, will be commencing or recommencing in 2026. For those of you who have sent emails and inquiries about it, I have responded to most of those emails. And those emails I said I'll be returning to the transcripts and the RSS series in January. So do keep a lookout for email announcements of those. And there have been some requests for particular video series to generate the transcripts for. So those transcripts, specifically for the Raja Yoga series, will come after I finish the transcripts for the 21 lessons. It'd be too much for me to do both at the same time, so I'll do the 21 lessons first, and then I'll do the requested Raja Yoga series afterwards. And also in 2026, we'll also take a look at the Serpent Power series, which Mr. Davis gave several years ago. We'll take a look at the videos for that as well as the transcript for that series also. And if you do have requests for any other lecture series that Mr. Davis has given in the past, you'd like to have transcripts for those, or you'd like to us to review them, send us an email and I will add it to the queue. It'll just take me some time to get to it because I have to go through each video one by one. But eventually, we'll get those done. I think that's it for IMKC. For the Society of Florida group, we have our weekly 12 blessing services, which we do both online and in person. You're welcome to join to those. Just join us on MeetUp, and you'll be kept abreast of the announcements for those 12 blessings services. We also hold our commemoration services both as a group and with the headquarters in either California or in London. And then we'll also commence reviewing some of the selected teachings and lectures by Dr. George King through the Florida group in the future. All right, so that's all the announcements I have. Again, today is an open discussion and various topics session. So any questions or comments you may have, feel free to post them in the chat, and we'll be happy to address those for you. Also, I do want to address something for you guys as a benefit for you guys. A lot of times we get um, repeat questions, which is fine because everybody's learning. Um, but I would encourage you to listen deeply to the responses that Mr. Davis gives, not only to posed questions, but to other subject matters as well. Oftentimes, you'll find the answer to your question in a response that Mr. Davis gives without him giving a direct answer to you. So some of the questions that you guys have emailed us and are waiting for a response for, um, if you've been paying attention in these open discussions or in the classes, your question has been answered multiple times in various ways and with through various approaches. It may be difficult to see as you're beginning to learn and beginning to connect and beginning to understand the teachings. But if you listen closely to Mr. Davis's answers and the way he presents the information and the way he repeats information and but approaching it from different angles, you will hear um, or be able to extrapolate or allow your higher self to take that information and apply it directly to your situation. So I say that so if you send us a question or you pose a question and a response is given, or you feel a direct response is not given, I would encourage you to listen um, more attentively, deeply to Mr. Davis's response in the past and in the present. And I promise you, you will find the guidance that you're seeking in your question and much, much more. So allow yourself to be open for instruction and for guidance, even if Mr. Davis doesn't specifically call you by name and answer your specific question, the the response is there if you allow yourself to see it. All right, so as we wait for more people to join us and to commence with the questions, welcome everyone. I believe we should have at least one more session this year. We'll have to see. I work for a university, I work for a college, and so this week, finals was last week, and so this week is getting all of the grades and reports in from the respective faculty, and so I'll be a little busy this week, but I do not see any reason so far to not have at least one more session this year, provided Mr. Davis, anybody else is available. But if possible, we may have two more, another session on the 21st and the 28th, if possible. But if not, we will at least have one more, be maybe on the 21st or the 28th. Well, I'll let everyone know as an announcement goes out. All right, so do we have any questions or comments so far? Let me turn down my speakers. And get the chat window open. Okay, well, I have a question to start. Uh, I was curious about, or I'm curious about, like I kind of know already, but in the multiple ways, or some of the ways that the realms influence each other, like how uh the lower astral realms influence the realms above it, the higher etheric realms influence the other realms, the gross physical realm influences both realms, and how that influence can be felt and utilized or rejected, depending on, and of course, depending on what you want to accomplish. But finals of Black Book.
Well, you know that you can hear me all right, right?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Yeah, you know that the largest population on Earth is in the lower hells or the lower astral realms,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
And for better words, I mean phrases that the physical, the gross physical plane is like the middle passage
Hmm.
or ground zero for forward movement in a sense, for extreme forward movement, I would say. So because it's here that we have the greatest limitations. All the other realms, even the lower hells, are are more what's the word? I mean the intelligence live in more of a risen body, and they have access to mind and energy quicker and faster than what's done on the physical plane.
Hmm.
So as individual light screens are born here on a gross physical plane and die and come back, they bring with them certain technology, certain influence, certain radiations, certain comic experiences that's shared with the greater population, and they circle back out. The same is happening, but uh, at a lesser level and transactions from the higher realms.
Hmm.
So that's one way of influence, and another way of influence is just natural cycles. So that's I hope you understand what I'm saying. It's just a natural flow of things. But it's the mind belt, it's the exchange of the mind belt
Hmm.
that's taking place, you know. And certain laws have to be followed, but you know, you can actually see it play out on anything you do, you know,
Hmm.
because you need that exchange. Is I think the ancient people, they kind of understood it a little bit, but not really. Uh, what's the name of it? The equinox, the different phases of it,
Hmm. Hmm.
and they talk about how the as the different planes align themselves, the rims of existence, because of the direction that they travel. Uh, if you can imagine that there's an aspect of the earth in a solid form and a subtle form on each realm of existence. And they have an atmosphere, they have land mass, they have oceans,
Hmm.
uh, they have all these things, but living on a different frequency. And at one point, uh, there have to be an exchange of energy in order
Hmm.
to balance and release, you know? So it just makes sense. And when you put together any machine on this physical plane, uh, you have these same release valves or exchange of energy from one frequency to the next, or the machine won't work. You being a IT or computer engineer, you know that.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I'm being a developer, a builder of homes and apartment buildings. I know that we have to have those exchanges on each level, whether it's like electrical, mechanical, or plumbing. We do an inter uh, degree of changes with air, with water, with electricity, with everything. You know, with electrical, if you don't ground the house, electrical can't flow, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So, and then with the mechanical, you have to have an exchange of air from room to room, even though uh, uh, you have one duct pumping the air out, and you have another one exchanging the air. So it's the same way. Only thing we're doing is following natural law. If you have a drain, you need a stem vent going back up to the roof,
Hmm.
like a roof trunk or whatever. Or the water won't drain in the house. So the same thing with the Mother Earth. We only follow the laws that was given to us, the framework of laws that was given to us in order to exist. All realms must influence other realms, in other words.
Hmm.
That makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I was wondering, 'cause from my limited knowledge, we look at the ancient teachings, you have the events occurring on the astral, etheric, other realms, in a certain point in history, and then eventually over time it makes its way, the effects of the events and the accounts of those events make their way to the gross physical realm, and then those recordings produce mass influence and change on the gross physical realm, like with the Vedas, the Bible, and so on and so forth. And so I was thinking about the events of the adepts, the missions of the adepts, that they took place on all the realms, the lower rash realms, the higher etheric realms, but on the other realms, and um, the accounts. I don't know if that's the only time or a very rare time in human history where the actual account of the event was given as it was happening and distributed as it was happening in that way through transmissions. Um, but I guess my question is, when will we see? I know we are seeing the results of those events already, and almost immediately, and when they happen on the astral planes. Um, but the how will we see the results of those events that the missions the adepts took on?
Only thing you
On
have to do, I think I told you this before. Only thing you have to do is just correlate those sorties that happen on the lower astral realms
hmm
and with the physical events that happen on on the physical on the gross physical planes. And what you need to do is the 2.5 or 3 years, and also the aftermath of Carmelite and those other missions, the atomic mission on the low acid rims. Give yourself a 30-year spread, and you'll see the correlation.
hmm
It's so it's so obvious. It's like in plain sight,
hmm
you know, especially because of the when you see the actions, where you have the atomic mission, you have the alien mission, you have Carmelite, then you have the aftermath of Carmelite. And if you line that up and then you line up 30, 40 years on the physical plane, starting with there, you'll see some of the same actions happening over and over and over and over and over. Because those same individuals that was released from those rims or the population that was affected by it, they were born here on Earth, and it was affected. You can see, first of all, you see the mental and the stress and the emotional start happening here on the physical plane,
hmm hmm
because people go to sleep and they travel to those realms, and they get emotional bombarded by the activities that's happening there. Then they bring that back to the physical plane. Then you start having the people being reborn here,
hmm
and the same thing happened, and they start going through this. That's why you have an increase of certain cultures, a decrease of certain bad habits, an increase of certain bad habits, and you see the correlation immediately. You say,
hmm
"Wait a
hmm
minute, this was spoken about way back when,"
hmm hmm
and is I remember 30, 40 years ago, they would have thought you was absolutely insane to talk about UFOs in an intelligent manner.
hmm
Now it plays on TV 24/7.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it is crazy. They people talking about the other rims. They thought you was crazy for talking about stuff like that. But now it's on TV 24/7.
hmm
You can find a channel that's all they talk about. You know, Mostly they get it wrong, but it's they still talking about it.
hmm
You know, and the scientists are leaning that way because the scientists are talking about multiple realms of existence, and I forget the terminology they use now, but they because they keep switching, but they are aware of it. They are aware that the ancient sciences was very correct, or maybe they haven't analyzed it or haven't figured it out right, but they know that it's true. One of the most startling things that they notice is that the yantras that the Hindu and the Buddhists constantly put together, they compared it to to one of those electronic accelerators, and they say, "Wait a minute, this looks familiar. It
Hmm.
looks
Hmm.
like the same thing."
Hmm.
So, and yet you have these ancient descriptions of atomic weaponry with those same teachings. So I mean, it's just a simple calculation. That's all.
Hmm.
You do on your own and just look at it, and you'll see.
I have a question here from Justin. Welcome, Justin. Thank you for your question. Uh, can you become wealthy while being aligned on or to your spiritual path?
Uh, yes, with the right intent. I would say yes with the right intent. Remember, intention is the molding and shaping power of the actions. Your intent behind every thought and action is the thing that configures forward movement. Give me a minute. Let me let my dog in.
Okay. Hey, Bernard, welcome.
Good morning. How you doing? Good
I'm
afternoon.
good. Afternoon. I'm good. Thanks. How yourself?
Good, good.
Let's welcome for those joining us. Today's session is another open discussion on various topics, so you are welcome to pose any questions or comments you have in the chat, and we'll do our best to answer those for you. I am going to be bouncing around a bit because YouTube has changed its streaming platform a little bit, made some updates to it, I guess. So I'm going to take me some time to get used to it, but we should be able to get all of your questions answered.
Duane, was that the last question? Or there more?
That was the last question. Can you become wealthy? Well, I did have another question. I'm waiting for Mr. Davis to come back.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay. Now, in the past, you've referred to the body of work, the teachings of their society, as you said the fifth fetus, you said, or the sixth?
Um, no, I was talking about I think the fifth. Did I say
Yeah,
Upanishads?
fifth
Yeah, yeah,
Upanishad. Yeah, that's what you did. That's what you
yeah.
said. And I was wondering if you could kind of explain that a little bit more, meaning because the way I understood that it is the record of the Upanishads are teachings, bodies of teachings, but they are also records um of major actions, metaphysical actions taken on by the cosmic masters on Earth.
And that's
Right.
what that is.
Okay.
That's what that is. At least in the sense that I was putting placing it.
Hmm.
There are some records that we are no longer exposed to so much because uh, other other situations have overtaken or those things have been resolved to a certain degree and other things have came into place. But yes, the currently is the records of the last, I would say, since the last 5,000 some years since Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna came here um, 3,100 years before the coming of Jesus. So so the last 5,000 some years is uh is what's shaping. Although the 18 million some years brought us to the 5,000 some years, uh, uh, what that brought Sri Krishna here, a great cosmic master from from the highest realms of the solar system, from one of
Hmm.
the highest realms of the solar system to here. Uh, but we're mostly being shaped and molded from that point forward. And I think that their society teachings address that.
And address how we're being shaped and molded, or address
Well,
the.
address the necessary comic response that
Hmm.
was needed to get us over the hump.
In preparation for the new age.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it took a lot of cosmic masters after that. It took a great being to come to allow a lot of other cosmic masters to come.
Hmm.
You understand?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Because before Sri Krishna, uh, it was Zoroaster. Because it's seen as Zoroaster paved the way to allow Sri Krishna to come. And then from that point you had when you list them, I think what we found what 22 or 26
Yeah, and that when you made that
cosmic masters
timeline of
that
the.
came, yeah, that
Yeah.
came after that, that revealed themselves to the public.
Hmm.
And when you began to look and read the uh the cosmic voice and all the information they gave, it lines up with those 5,000 years of
Hmm.
damage that we did or continue to do to ourselves. You had a course correct that was happening under under the comic missions that was being done.
Sorry, I
That
was
answer your question?
yeah, I was thinking of another question, but I forgot. We had the chat. I forgot the chat window. Okay, is a question here? Ooh, that's a big one. Okay, is there a dark priesthood who has been given a certain amount of time to rule over Earth?
I don't think so. Uh, you make up your own karma, and we make up our own group karma. And if we allow someone to rule over us, then that was our either conscious or instinctive choice based on our negative karma or configuration of mind substance that form the mind and the perception points of our own existence. You know, massive people go out and vote for dictators in multiple countries around the world. Why do they do that? Why do they vote against their own interests? It was either their conscious or their instinctive actions that brought that upon themselves by not seeing what's really in front of them. And the people of power, the people who have power and want to use that power negatively, they I mean the power to see and to perceive, they know how to manipulate people to get what they want. And if you fall prey to that, then you are subject to that cycle of craziness or of being dominated over. It's not that you're bad; you could be absolutely good in a sense, but you you choose not to hurt the other person, who's hurting you. And a lot of the metaphysical world, they fell prey to that because they felt that everybody had their right to do what they wanted to do. And they did not want to interfere in someone's comic pattern unless they felt they was given some type of comic authority over a group of people. And because of that, they fell under dictatorship, all type of crazy stuff. So, but and that's why they prayed for in ancient days and all the way up to now, they pray for a savior, they pray for a prophet, they pray for a bodhisattva. So, but only if they knew that they can defend themselves.
Hmm.
Hope that answers your question. That's my opinion. I don't, from my studies, I don't think. Although there's multiple uh, dark priesthoods on the Lower Acid Rim, that doesn't mean they're allowed to exist by some greater being. No, the greater being is you yourself.
Yeah. The power they have is the power we give them.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So another question. For some reason today, I'm stuck on this idea of uh jiva, the embodied consciousness.
Yeah.
And to embody consciousness doesn't only exist in the body, in the aura. I mean the chakras themselves are realms of consciousness. So what I don't quite understand what it means to embody a consciousness. And then I looked in another I can put it up and show you. You have a diagram understanding the role of the deviant kingdom with manipulating energies, thoughts, and actions. And in there, you so the nine diva groups of the body. You list the Jiva diva group, and you say in the description you gave is it consists of souls in the bondage of matter. Okay, so the aura is the vehicle of consciousness for the soul. So the em, the embodied consciousness is the bondage of the soul in matter.
And body consciousness. Uh, what specific was it that actually pricked your brain
Well, yeah,
to make
I
you
put the
go deeper? Is it the diagram that he put together?
well as I don't know what happened. I was thinking about Jiva, so I just searched in my IMKC folder and I saw this diagram. And it this particular thing here, I'm gonna be kind of more confused about it. This explanation here of Jiva Diva group, and it just got me thinking even more about it. If if the body in the aura is a product of the soul's consciousness, then how can that consciousness be bonded into matter? I was kind of confused about that.
That's the only way it can be.
Meaning that's the only way that consciousness can be expressed is if it's bonded.
Think about it. Think about it. What is consciousness?
A limitation is to know
It's a
awareness.
limitation. Right, right, right. I describe consciousness in my writings in two ways. It's a form of what? Of sound and limitation, or limitation and sound, right?
Yes. Sounds consciousness. Yes.
And that sound can be thought, whisper, or voice.
Right. The
But
ways we're taught to do mantra.
yeah, but every level of that is expressed what? What's the common denominator of each one of those? What's the common denominator of thought?
Coming from us.
Of embodied thought? It's a limitation. What's the combination of whispered voice? It's a limitation.
Hmm.
And a spoken voice is a limitation because it's limited in its expression, right?
Hmm.
Because sound can only reach so far. Gross sound can only reach so far, right?
Right.
Whispered thought, it can only reach so far. It has a greater membrane, a greater limit, and then mental thought is greater than is actually greater than whispered and voice thought, but it still have a limitation to the gross realm. But it can be expressed through 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 multiple ways because everything you see around you is an expression of what?
Thought, sound, thought.
Of organized mental thought.
Hmm.
Think about it. The microphone you're speaking into is organized mental thought. Notifications came from hours and hours and hours and hours of mental activity, you know. But the grosser it get, the more limited it becomes.
Hmm.
You understand?
Hmm.
So that's embodied consciousness is a localized field of mind belt that molds and shape matter on multiple levels, whether it's the mental level, the etheric level, or the astral level, or the gross physical level. That's what allows you to accelerate your spirituality, right? That
Right.
gives you the forward movement.
But
Because
do I think
remember, even when the intelligence leave and move to the avatar stage, what does the avatar do?
It pulls it.
He or she splits their consciousness up into multiple levels, still working on the gross physical level to a certain extent.
But
I think it's important to also include or realize or factor in that the phrase and the terminology used, um that it is always going to be relative and needs to be considered in context. So if, for example, we're discussing an avatar, well, I mean, we know what they're capable of in terms of their abilities, but even in the avatar state, you're always going to have two types of consciousness for their realm of existence. There's going to be one that's embodied, and there's one that's going to be bodiless, so to speak, in
mhm,
comparison to us, who we are supposed to be one of the highest expressions on earth. Even in a cosmic sense, there's always going to be, when it comes to consciousness, relatively speaking, for us, bodiless or embodied. And if you move beyond anything on this planet and you start talking about consciousness on a planetary or solar level, even for those entities, there's always going to be that opposite, that polar opposites, where you consciousness can be spoken of in terms of bodiless or embodied. And at the end of the day, the embodied consciousness is just that part of the absolute that has decided to take on quote unquote limitation, but is now aware of the limitation that is placed on itself. Its own awareness of its limitation is what creates that embodied consciousness, so to speak. It's the moment Kundalini makes its final descent into the base of the spine and now realizes that it's quote unquote been separated from its own self, that it starts to sing, radiate, and try to reach back to its source, which in essence is what creates the whole Gnostic structure. So, or completes the the build out of the Gnostic structure. So it just, I think the term just depends on what you're looking at. You're looking at it from a avatar sense, from a an adept sense, us going through evolution, someone that's been there, rebuilt the body, or something or entity that's gone beyond, you know, a simple body that now needs more of a planetary evolutionary state. Just depends, I think.
And remember, the naughty system is what?
It's sound.
You remember? No, I'm saying it does what? What action does it take?
yeah,
It splits up the consciousness. It distributes bits and pieces of the consciousness throughout all the 108 chakras within the body, within the auric structure, in other words. It's a conscious splitting machine or device
it,
that the soul weaves inside the auric structure in order to bring about the different levels of consciousness.
the consciousness, it splits up the consciousness of the soul and distributes it throughout the auric structure, the nadi.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
but and you can say it splits up the consciousness of the whole and
of
makes
the whole. Remember the expression and they that 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 the soul makes the whole into the not whole
Yes.
at the from Kundalini. Once it reached Kundalini, and then Kundalini releases the celestial sound, and the celestial sound becomes the nadi system.
Hmm.
And some people say 72,000 nadi pathways. Some people say 242 nadi pathways. Some people say 720,000 nadi pathways. But those pathways split the consciousness up in order for you to be embodied. And now you have to use Kundalini to to you have to bring Kundalini down out of the nadis and bring it up through the Sushumna nadi in order to attain a higher consciousness or divine consciousness. And that's the difference. Now you are embodied and disembodied. Because remember, as you raise Kundalini, you do what? You bring about a delusion,
The dissolution of consciousness.
a dissolution of consciousness. That's why
Okay.
they say that,
So as
because you drain the nadis of the psychic or Kundalini power, and place the Kundalini power moving in one direction through Shushun, through the nadis of Shushuna, through the layers of the nadis of Shushuna, until you activate each chakra, and the chakra itself is a stream of consciousness across the earth, this the solar system, and the galaxy.
mhm,
So because each major chakra stream is a stream or vortex center that moves through the planets, through the moons, through the suns, through the solar system, and through the galaxy, and it connects you to that. So so that's how you begin to have the first layer of cosmic consciousness, which is the Earth. The
mhm.
second layer of cosmic consciousness is probably the Earth, the Moon, and the planets. Then the third layer might be the sun, and then by the time you get to the sun, you doing galactic consciousness from what we understand now. And because the cosmic consciousness is the cosmic consciousness of the Earth, but that's how when you look at it, when you look at the ancient teachings, that's how they describe it.
So as you withdraw consciousness from the nadis, from the body, take it to Kundalini and then raise Kundalini, you are uh disembodying the consciousness. So what consciousness is holding the body together then at that point? Like, is it the conscious of the cells or the organs, the systems? Like,
At
what's
what
keeping
point?
that
At what point?
as you're raising Kundalini up, Sushumna up even higher, the heart center, the throat center even higher and higher. There's no more consciousness in the body. So what's holding it
No,
together?
Oh no,
the
there's
frame,
still consciousness in the body. It's
yeah,
just
Oh, okay.
the
enough
frame is
to
still there.
keep
The
cells alive.
Yeah, the frame itself all of that came from where the org body is sustaining it. Only
Okay.
thing you're doing is reconfiguring it. Remember, if the frame is still there, you moving the energy through the naughty pathways.
Hmm.
But the frame of it is you're not dissolving the frame. You only dissolve the frame is when you ascend.
Okay. Hmm.
Remember,
Hmm.
they say that the adept has a large aura. The master has a larger aura, but the avatar has no aura. You understand?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because the avatar reconfigures everything and begin to use the aura to reinforce itself. And at that point, it becomes, I think, what the Dr. King called them. I can't remember the exact phrase, but it was almost like a god
Mm-hmm.
because they could take the aura and mold it and shape it into anything they need. And when you study the Shushana and study the powers of Shushana, they is it makes sense, that if they needed to, it's like the Lord Babaji, uh, when he met his disciple Lahir Marshe, uh, and he looked at him and told him, said, "Hey, you need to get rid of uh, certain cravings or whatever." And and from his aura, he created a palace and created all this food, all these women, and all this stuff, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
told him to go in there and feast, right, and get it out of his system. And they have stories of the Lord Babaji doing the same thing. Not the same thing, but similar things like that, where
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
from his aura he created all these things in order to teach his disciples.
Okay. All right, so you have a couple of people who recently joined us. Welcome. Again, today's session is an open discussion in various topics. So even though we may be going back and forth in discussion, you are welcome to chime in, pose any questions or comments you may have. It doesn't have to be related to the material we're currently discussing. Could be any subject you're curious about, and we'll try to answer those for you. So pose your questions in the chat and we'll uh, answer them for you. I also had some questions about the divas, the nine diva groups of the body. Is this list, it's, it seems to be in an order, from Kala to Kula, Nama, Jana, Chitta, Nada, Bindu,
Yeah, this list actually came from Serpent Power,
Mm-hmm.
the Serpent Power book. This is from the Serpent Power class.
Kala is here twice. Um, the first one, time, represents time, and then the eighth one representing the letters on the petals.
What's the description of sound I gave you?
Consciousness, sound is consciousness, and
I'm
limitation.
saying when sound is released from Shiva, what does it do? I
It,
gave you a whole diagram on that.
yeah, it becomes the framework of of karma, of the universe.
Huh?
It becomes the framework, right, of creation.
No, I'm saying in the diagram I gave you, what does it do?
I molds and
You
shapes.
don't remember? Too much, huh? Uh, it goes up and come back down, right? Or it goes down and come back up, however you want to put it.
Okay,
So what that makes it, that turns it into a what? A cycle
of time. Yeah.
of time. So the sound, the creative sound is released and it goes out. It creates motion. It creates multiple levels of sound, and then it fades back into the silence. And the silence represents what? Shiva, the absolute.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime you talk about sound, it's a form of time.
Okay.
Sound frequency creates time cycles, and it creates motion. That's why the great masters describe the creative sound running through the
Mm.
universe as nata, supreme sound, allowing and sustaining creation. And all shati is accompanied with this nata. And that's how you have the letters. The letters are what? Aspects of the great word
Mm-hmm.
that was released. And it takes on a certain configuration and a certain natural level of power as it rolls through and moves through the universe, creating vortex centers and preservation of centers of time cycles and matter. Mind, what do you say? Mind, what in a mind that feeds off the supreme intelligence and the sustaining amana or love energy that produce multiple levels of prana in order to sustain it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's why you have the Kala group here before Jiva group.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, it is in order. So then why is like I think you just answered that. For number six, the Nada. I was going to ask the Nada Deva group, which consists of sound. You have Raga, Icha, Kriti, and Prayatna. I was wondering why desire was placed there, but I think I understand.
Remember, as things solidify,
Mm-hmm.
become grosser,
They have a
they're
tendency
cut
for
off.
the
They're
formlessness.
they, they're cut off from higher power.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where desire begins to happen. If I cut you off from solid foods, then you begin to do what?
Desire, desire food.
Desire solid foods. So the same thing, if I cut you off from subtle energies, you begin to desire subtle energies.
And that cutting off comes at, wouldn't that come at Chitta? No, because sound is conscious, so
No,
the limitation is here. So
chitta.
it'll be here, yeah.
Remember,
It'll
chitta.
be here.
Chitta is what?
Mind.
Is pure mind.
Mm-hmm.
As chitta, as chitta integrate into a manifestation, it becomes manas. Remember?
Right. So you
Uh,
have that listed here. Okay. But the spiritual germ never loses this connection to the absolute, to the
no,
spirit.
it doesn't. It's the power. It's the power source that everything draws on. It's the constant power source that everything draws on.
Oh.
So when you study the Bindu is is protected within is actually protected within Shushuna and is protected in the walls of of the Brahmanati.
Mm-hmm.
Remember?
Mm-hmm.
So and then you have the other layers behind that's protecting it. and they describe these other layers are described with tremendous power of the solar system, the sun, the galaxy. The power is all these. The way they describe it. So it's sacred.
Mm.
It's a sacred power.
Okay, so in the context here of the devas of the body, the Bindu is could you say it's the power source behind that particular realm of consciousness being expressed within that embodied consciousness?
Say that again.
So like within the okay, we're talking here within the context of the body, the embodied
Hmm.
consciousness. So the Bindu then would could it be described as that power source behind that particular realm of consciousness in which the embodied consciousness is working, or just that,
Behind all the realms of
all realms of
consciousness.
consciousness. Yes. Okay.
No, wherever you find a vortex center of power, you find the center of that is the Bindu.
Okay.
But Nehemiah, isn't it important to realize that the Bindu, that point, is really the power is what's behind it because it's that point is what gives you access to that all knowledge space. That
Right. That's what I'm saying. I described it as within the layers of the Shushuna. And it's behind all movement. It's the power source for everything. It extends itself because the Shushuna extends itself from the lowest point to the highest point. But it's the Bindu. And it's that it is the window or the point of all knowledge space and all potential power. Knowledge must come first before power because the knowledge is the signature of the karmic framework, and then the power can be released under that framework.
Oh, that's what you have here. You have uh the Kula Deva group, the form, the framework, the Deva group, the you have name here, but what do you mean by is name here knowledge and then intelligence comes after the knowledge?
name is really the name is really attached, is an aspect of sound that follows or resonates behind all things. All things are known by their names, but their names is not what human beings think they're given the name to that thing. The name is what that thing resonates on a higher etheric realm in terms of its own unique sound vibration. That's what name means in this sense. It's not something you name a cup because you just want to call it a cup. That cup, from time immemorial, that bowl, that cup, whatever that bowl, that thing that holds something, that form has its own name on the psychic and etheric realms. And the name is what it resonates in a sonic vibration of what you would hear it. And then what we hear is what we call it. People think it's the other way around. That's why all
Yeah,
around the
it's
world, so
it's
many things have the same name or sound pretty similar because psychically you're kind of tuning into what you're hearing on your almost on a subconscious or superconscious level. So name is form, is sound, but it is the natural sound of that thing itself, independent of what we would want to call it.
yeah, it's a comic signature. Yeah. And you can see that even in science.
Hmm. Excuse me.
You notice that's why we have all these different frequencies, you know. And it's what was the name of that thing, Bernard? Where they had it's been around for hundreds of years. They had the sand and they put it on this sound plate,
Oh yeah, yeah.
this
The
vibrational plate. I forget the name of that thing. But anyway, when they
put a sound frequency through it, it would take a form, take a shape.
yeah, and when they did the OM or the AUM, it formed a circle.
A circle with a dot in it.
A circle with a dot in it, which is the
Oh,
Bendu,
just the Hindu.
right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Which is the Bendu. So you know, it's I agree with what Bernard was saying just there, and it's shown in nature over and over and over again.
So what we call the AUM is not necessarily the name of it, it's just that's the sound that we hear on a particular level and we attribute to that
On a physical level, yes,
physical level. Yeah. Okay.
yes.
But that's not the form.
It is a form because the AUM has a form.
It produces a form. It produces a form on each level. Even with the circle and the dot, we may
Hmm.
not see everything as Dr. George King was saying, as the Mars at the Sixth and Master Theorist was saying too. I think that was in You Are Responsible in the Cosmic Voice. That yeah, we see the physical sun or we see the physical moon, but we don't see the psychic sun or the other realms of the sun because there's multiple realms that the sun is existing on.
Hmm. Okay, so there's a couple questions here. Let me take a look at those. Justin asks, my friend said he went to the friend said he went to a graveyard with a root man and said he seen the root man turn into a lion. Do you have an explanation on how they do these things? He says, I'm just trying to figure out how some of these people who practice the so-called dark arts get to these states.
Was it something he saw
Learn
with his own physical eye?
he what?
Was it something he saw with his own physical eye?
Yeah, he said his friend went with a root man or I guess I don't know. Went his friend went with the root man to a graveyard and then he saw the root man transform into a lion.
But he didn't. The person that's asking this question did not witness it. He is hearing from secondhand knowledge, correct?
Well, according to his question, he has secondhand knowledge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's best to leave that stuff alone until you understand the spiritual aspect of it. You know, there's multiple ways they could do that. They can mesmerize you to make you see that, or or the person could have a high degree of of projection, astral projection, and you may think that they're in their physical form, and they go there or meet you there, and then they just transform their astral form so that you could see them in different ways. It's multiple ways they could do it. They could do
Mhm.
it just by hypnotizing you, or they can do it through astral projection, or they can do it through through being able to project a shade of themselves. I witnessed someone one time uh, project a shade of themselves, and the shade of themselves actually looked at physical. And I was thinking I was a teenager when they did it, when I seen them do it. The person was actually had clammed up on top of the house, sat down on top of the house, and pointed at the shade of themselves, and the shade of themselves was walking away from the house, walking down the street. But it's it was part of their auric body, being
Mhm.
able to do that, create that shade and do that. But there's multiple ways of doing it, and it doesn't mean any great level of advancement. It just means that they perfected that.
Mhm.
They perfected that type of technique. But I will concentrate because all of that's not going to get you not going to get you to a higher level. Once you reach a high spiritual level, you'll be able to do all those things and more if you choose to. But in most cases, you will not choose to because it doesn't create the right karmic pattern for you. Only time you will utilize that is to do something that's going to benefit uh, people around you or the environment.
Yeah, the person who posed the question, they commented and say, yes, they have witnessed things like that too. I have witnessed things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's how that's done. I witness people who elevate, they levitate, and they fool everybody that they're levitating when they're actually projecting part of their astral extremities and lifting the body up, but they're not actually raising Kundalini in a positive way in order to levitate.
Hmm.
But if you can't see psychically, you won't know that that's what they're doing. You may think, oh, they have been able to raise Kundalini to the uh to the heart center and brought about levitation. But no, they just found a way to get around that, which is they not getting around of it. It's just another trick or illusion or whatever.
Hmm. Okay. All right, do we have any other questions or comments? Let's see. I think that's all the questions I have on this chart for now. There's some comments here. Let's take a look. Sterling writes, it takes dark and light for balance. Evil and good are human concepts. It's just a dream. Row your boat or upgrade and put a motor in it. You have to deal with your problems first, meditate, and when a thought comes up, deal with it. Don't ignore it. Don't try to quiet your mind. That will happen naturally. This is how you find peace. Once you find peace, the whole world is yours. It has no power. How did the Senate Kumara build the bodies that we use now?
I mean, we really don't know, but we do know from what we're taught in the superpower book, what we're taught from Madame Blavatsky's teachings, what we're taught from Swami Sivananda when he described the uh, the auric body, the when he described Kundalini. I mean, it's all the teachings give us some brief description. Uh, uh, the Great White Brotherhood or the spiritual hierarchy who spoke through Alice Bailey, they tried to go into great detail in that. If you want to study that, it's too much to go over. But uh, in their explanation and in Alice and in Madame Blavatsky, I'm not doing justice to it. They talk about multiple bodies that Seneca Mar and team went through. Not they had to because of I think because of the distortion or contamination
Hmm.
that mankind came here with, and that's why they had to stay. They had to actually uh, uh, bring about a metamorphosis of the earth in order to create or extend the heart chakra level down to the lower hells or the lower astral realms. So those realms had to be created in order to take on uh, what Dr. George King called the Meldick man. And they had to stay there for several 100,000 years. And then the Seneca Mara and team, the way Alice Bailey describes it, and Madame Blavatsky, it was Seneca Mara and about I think it was another 48 uh, cosmic masters came here, and when they came here, they divided themselves to on each rim to stabilize those rims. I think Dr. King gave it he gave the better explanation of it, where and he did it in kind of in I don't want to say slick way or without without going into great detail, but yet he did explain it simply.
Hmm.
And and it was another person who described it too, Swami Rama in his book. But what Dr. King said, if a great cosmic master come and sit or place themselves in a certain position, certain negative aspects of karma cannot reveal itself.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So in the ancient teachings, when we read the ancient teachings of secret doctrines or some of the stuff that spiritual hierarchy spoke through, I think that was KH that spoke through through Alice Bailey. They describe uh, these avatars or cosmic masters positioning themselves on each realm. And even in the Vedas, they in the Vedas they talk about one chakra is influenced by Mercury, another chakra is influenced by Saturn, another chakra is influenced by Mars. It's not only the influence, but those were actual individuals from the high realms of those planets that moved and located themselves on those realms of existence in order to bring about a stabilization point of those realms. You understand?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then they began to contribute to the making of the body according to it. Go back and read the Alice Bailey teachings. I think it was the Treatise of Cosmic Fire
Mm-hmm.
and the and etheric, what's it called? Etheric psychology or something, 1 and 2 or something.
Oh, esoteric psychology like that?
Esoteric psychology 1 and 2. She goes into that a lot, and also with the treaties of Cosmic Fire, and of course the secret doctrines and the Isis Unveiled of Madame Blavatsky, and they go into detail. So at one point, the Seneca Mara team came to the came to the point where we have this body today, but it was multiple bodies that we had to go through
Mm-hmm.
in order to get to this body, and a lot mainly due to our own negative karma. After we got here, we destroyed Lemurius, we destroyed Atlantis, and now we're in the current situation. And when we came out of Atlantis, we spent 800,000 years in ruins
Mm-hmm.
before the cosmic masters were able to to clean up and to begin to bring us back online. So we wasted a lot of time. So it wasn't that Seneca Mar, he had to do what he did in order to coast us along,
Mm-hmm.
and then at one point he had to give up the his position in order to allow another great cosmic master to come and take his place.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say study those books and you'll see what I'm talking about.
And Sterling, Mr. Davis just answered your comments. He says the Anunnaki designed the bodies according to what I think I know. And so Mr. Davis just responded to that. No, it wasn't the Anunnaki, and he told you where to go uh, to find the correct history. You can find the books Mr. Davis mentioned on our website, mysticknowledge.org. Let me go there right now and show you guys exactly where you can go. Okay, let me.
You have to be careful about. I know the Anunnaki sound fascinating, but I don't even know if it was called that because the Western world distorted a lot of stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, so you have to be very careful about all that. I know Egypt is much older than what they claim it is. The
Hmm.
mystics say that Egypt goes all the way back 18 million some years, or at least those, not Egypt, not the name Egypt, but those locations. They're much older than 5, 6, 7, 8, 12,000 years, you know. So that's that. But what happened, the power structure, the leadership power structure forced people to think in a certain way, and have them to try to place everything in a timetable. When of course the metaphysicians are free thinkers, and they make sense, and the metaphysicians align more with the physical scientists, not the political physical scientists, not the religious political scientists too, as well. You know, if you go back to Madame Blavatsky, she describes the Earth as being 3 to 4 billion years old, and that's coming right out of the stanzas of Sudan and the Vedas and all the great teachings, the secret doctrines that she got from the Tibetans. And I mean, they didn't say the world was 6,000, 12,000 years old, so, but yet when the Western world came, they tried to fit the timetable in their existence, because their existence is more of a mutation of humanity, so figure out what that is. So, but that's what that is. So we have to be very careful and see things as they are, not as we want them to be.
Right, so if you go to mysticknowledge.org, which is our website, on ebook library, the first one here, it'll take you to books from Annie Besant, Alice Bailey, and the books that Mr. Davis was mentioning. They're here too, Esoteric Psychology, and so forth. And if you go to ebook library -1, you'll see, scroll down a bit, books here by Madame Blavatsky, Helena P. Blavatsky. And these are all, you can download these and read them for free. Actually, you'll find a lot of the theosophical books sprinkled out throughout the internet, but you don't have to search for them. You can come to this website, our website, and just download them all for free. Most of them for free. And Annie Besant, her books are here too. We actually have a series on the secret doctrines. Was that recorded? 'Cause I think that was one of the first classes I attended. I don't remember if that was recorded.
Yeah, a lot of the classes I did on that was not recorded.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so that's the website. You can find many resources there to download for free and to study. And that's also where I think it's here. Yoga Mitraka. No, I think it's Yoga Mitraka's here. Yeah. Yoga Mitraka, William Walker Atkinson. For those of you who are interested in joining the group, these are the body of works we'll be looking at first from Yogi Ramacharaka. It's also here, which you can download for free. Are there any other questions? Yeah. Nehemiah, do you remember a lecture given by Dr. George King called Cultivate the Correct Spiritual Attitude or Cultivate the Right Spiritual Attitude, something like that?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I do.
I'm trying to find, why do I keep biting my nails?
I
I'm
think it
going
was one
crazy.
of the first. Was it part of the? It was before the A series. It was actually before the A series.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to find it on the cloud, but it's not there.
Mhm. A lot of stuff was not there on the cloud, in my opinion.
I was wondering if in closing today's session, you could talk about how we can. Ah, man, I can't find that. Well, how we can cultivate the right spiritual approach and attitude in our.
I think Dr. George King, his main thing was to discriminate, uh, and I think that was the main thing, being able to discriminate and not fall prey to a lot of erroneous and information and being able to predetermine your outcome. And I think on another very important thing he said, which which I realized that I was just a child, that everything is science. When he talked about, when he did the levels of consciousness series, where talking about the spirit world and the realms of the masters. And he said, once you reach that adept level or spirit or master level, you realize that everything is a science. And he's
Mhm.
talking about a more divine science, a more metaphysical science. And he was saying that everything is a science. In other words, everything has an exact uh, functioning and layout and system, and it's just not haphazardly. It's not a spontaneous thing. It is, and we can. In other words, real science is the study of God's creation,
Hmm.
and you can you can study that and reproduce it, because ye are gods. Each one of us is an aspect of God, so we can reproduce. So you have to think like that, and you have to realize that, as Alice Bailey uh, expressed from the spiritual hierarchy of Earth, that the physical realms and the astral realms is a distortion in the scope of all the realms on Earth. It's a negative distortion. And because it's negative distortion, we have a lot of limitations and resistance. And with that, comes a lot of misinformation. But it's not hard to see the misinformation, because if anything exists, it exists with a pattern, with a scientific pattern. And if you can't reproduce it in some type of way or see the mechanism of it, it's not going to work. And
Hmm.
it's not going to last for long periods of time. So I think is I know that's a lot to think about, but it's so true.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's so true, you know. And it's just the little tiny laws, just like I was saying earlier, intention. Intention is the if I want to accomplish something, Why do I want to accomplish that? Do I want to accomplish that to position myself in a better place than the rest of the world? That's the wrong intention. Unless I want to place myself in that position in order to help serve the world. My true intentions is to be of greater service because everything in manifestation depend serves something else. That's the greatest thing. The sun serves the solar system, and each planet within the solar system give back to the sun. There's always an exchange of energy, and that's coexistence. So just like us, we breathe in oxygen, we exhale carbon dioxide. That's picked up by the plant life. So there's always this exchange. There's always us serving. So when we do counter to that, is you're going to run into problems. It's the wrong intention. We're not following the divine comic laws that we live by, that we are created by. So you know that's why you have to really, really look at things. And what you see, you're not going to like. Like Dr. George King said, you're not going to see, God is not going to save you from yourself.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
you, you could pray to God all you want to save you from the ignorance that you have placed yourself in.
Mhm,
And it's not going to happen until you follow the laws. Because the framework of the divine framework or laws that God have placed that have created us in is designed to elevate us. Is designed to push us towards conformity.
mhm,
So so that's how we save ourselves, by doing the right things, by creating all the right actions, and we will accelerate forward. But now we can save someone else along the pathway with us, but why should God intervene when the whole network of God's creation is designed to push you forward?
mhm, mhm,
So God is not going to come in and personally lift you up and move you. The lesser gods will, only for the betterment of the whole,
mhm,
not for you. So that's something we have to come to terms with. That God is impersonal, and God loves everyone and have given everyone the power, good or bad, to move forward. So you can fall to the depths of hell and still become a Jesus or Sri Krishna or Buddha or whoever,
mhm.
or a mighty son.
Yeah, I was trying to explain that to a friend of mine who swears we're in the end times and Jesus is gonna come and save everybody. Well, not everybody, and save the Christians and fix everything for us. I'm telling her, no, God doesn't do that. Or God will not do that.
Just study the law of karma.
Hmm.
I seen certain so-called mystics or metaphysicians that would tell you that, oh, like, well, karma really doesn't exist. Where did you come from? What
Hmm. Hmm.
you know does water exist? Karma only means action, right action.
Hmm.
you know and it means, like Dr. George King described it, as conformity towards the law. It means that Jesus described it, and the Lord Buddha. Jesus said, "As you sow, so shall you reap." Lord Buddha said, "Action and reaction is opposite and equal." You know, but all of these describe the laws of karma. The scientists adopted most of those laws as their thermodynamic laws.
Mm-hmm.
So it exists. That's the framework. That's the signature actions within all creation. People have to wake up to this and realize it. And they blow over. It doesn't matter how orthodox their teachings are. Most of their teachings say those things, but they don't truly understand it. You know, how can Jesus state that as you sow, so shall you reap? And they think he's going to come and save them. It doesn't make sense. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't make sense. How can they say that God law is true and factual and unchangeable? And yet they ask for God to change his laws every day. It just doesn't add up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't add up. And with all power, but yet turn around and describe God as a he.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When God have to be that and more, both and neither. It just doesn't make sense. And how can you describe God as being in one body or even having a son with one body? It doesn't make sense when this same God created the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, we have to come to terms with certain things and realize that the divine spark of God is within us and that we must take our divine position, you know, and by doing that, we we conform ourselves to all right action. It's hard and it may take millions of lifetimes, but that's what we have to do.
And then one final question here before we close out. I think you touched on it in the last part of your response there. I said, do you believe in generational curse breakers?
I don't believe in generational curses. I mean, I believe that everyone is where they are karmically. And when they realize that they don't need to be there, they won't be there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the great masters say, a mouse is only a mouse because a mouse believes that it's a mouse. you know, a human being is only a human being because they believe that they're a human being. And once they realize that they are that that the human body is only a tool like a screwdriver, then they will accelerate or be risen up to something greater than that.
Mm-hmm.
So we position ourselves to in the position that we are. You know, if if you if you are in a position that you don't want to be in, then change it. And the problem is people people limit themselves to this one life.
Hmm. Hmm.
Where if you make all the correct changes now, in your next life, you won't have to experience that anymore. You know, they'll go to school and they will study that energy cannot be destroyed, but yet they will believe that they can be destroyed.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
yet their mind, their will, their spirit controls energy, controls all the energy in their body. And they feel like they exist no more after this life.
Hmm.
It just doesn't make sense. But yet scientists tell them, say, hey, we have no evidence that energy is destroyed. And we have did hundreds of thousands of tests, and energy cannot be destroyed. It only transforms. But yet the power that molds energy together in order to produce your body, your life, for 6, 70, 80, 100, 103, 104, 120 years cannot. It dies once it goes. It doesn't exist. That's
Hmm.
foolishness. It
Hmm.
doesn't make
Hmm.
any sense. It makes absolutely no sense. So, but we position ourselves in the position that we are in. Curse is one of those made up things again.
Hmm. 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 All right. So if you guys have any further or additional questions, you feel free to you can email them to us and we'll answer those for you either privately or publicly in a subsequent session. Or we should be holding another open discussion session, at least one more this year. So do stay tuned to your email for that announcement. But for now, let us close out today's session with reciting the New Lord's Prayer. The New Lord's Prayer. O divine and wondrous Spirit, O everlasting Lord of hosts, send forth now through me thy great and lasting power. Allow me, Almighty God, the lasting privilege of radiating to all the world thy great love, so that those who suffer may be given the power and energy to rise above their weaknesses. Almighty God, in great humility do I ask you to send forth your power, to give to me this great lasting privilege of being a channel, so that my suffering brothers may be helped and guided and healed and lifted into thy light, so that they who know not may look up, and in doing so receive to their higher selves your divine counsel. Almighty God, this day have you granted me a divine privilege. I ask you now to give to me the strength, so that never again will I turn from my inner vision of you. O great peace, great peace, great peace. In praise of your greatness, O God, doth my soul sing. Grant it energy to sing on, rever and rever. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for your kind attendance, participation, questions, and comments. Again, if you have any further questions that you would like to pose and have us answer, either of a private nature or if you're okay with us answering them publicly, uh, You can send us an email. Uh, if you're okay with us answering the question publicly in a subsequent session, please state so in the email, and that will allow us to pose the question publicly. Otherwise, we'll assume that it is a private question, and we'll just respond to you privately. And if you have any suggestions or recommendations that you'd like to send our way, again, feel free to send us an email, and we'll take it under consideration. Or if you'd like to request access to one of the previous lectures that we have marked private, um, send me an email. Send us an email from the account that you wanted access, granted access to the video. Oh, that's tied to your YouTube, and with permission, I'll grant you access. But you have to include the title, or at least a link to the video that you would like access to, or videos you'd like access to. So have a wonderful week. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.